Now picture a place with no war, almost no crimes, no military, and stunning natural beauty with ocean views and waterfalls. And no, I'm not describing heaven, it's a real place on earth. Where do you think it is? If any of you thought of Iceland, you're correct. Since 2008, Iceland is considered as the most peaceful country in the world. It's also one of very few countries in the world with no Armenian diaspora and only 2 registered Armenian nationals. And I promise there's no correlation between these two facts. For me, it was a perfect place to escape from post-war trauma and identity crisis. And I didn't go there not for tourism, not even for exchange semester as the original reason stated, but to breathe. Like many of you, I was overwhelmed by the psychological burden of the war and lost in questions about who we are as Armenians, how we are going to define it, and how we are going to find our place in the world. So I packed my sweaters, warm ones of course, my trauma and a little Armenian flag, and flew all the way to Iceland, with hope to zoom out a bit and look at everything from distance. There, in that peaceful land of elves and lava, I find myself wandering alone in a foreign land, and Armenian language was heard only in my head during my conversations with myself. Every introduction there felt like a geography quiz. We all know how it's like, right? Armenia, Romania, maybe Albania. Where is it again? Europe, Asia? Until one day I met a group of linguistic students. Before I could even explain, one of them smiled and said, "Armenian, your language, of course we know it." Apparently, they were the only ones who knew, and they knew the language, not the politics, not the war, not even our apricot jam. They knew the language. The way they were talking about it was another story. Can you say something in Armenian? Can you write my name in Armenian? Oh, I'm going to tattoo it. Like they were talking about some sacred language of a mystic civilization. And I myself, a language carrier, realized I somehow missed this magic of Armenian language. Standing there with Icelandic students, I remembered how back in home conversations between my different friend groups with different language backgrounds were happening. These are conversations where Armenian students are using 2, 3 words in 10 sentences in Armenian. And imagine us trying to go to lunch together because we all have different words for lunch taken from different languages. You got the idea. So, Icelandic nation is smaller than Armenian in numbers, and similarly, they have a language of their own, a very unique and I must say hard one, which they treat like a national treasure. Perhaps it's the small nation thing that makes us think of our languages as way more than just a tool for conversation. The way they treat their names in their national language is another story. Most of my Icelandic friends had Icelandic names, and they were carrying them with such a pride, it made them wonder how someone can find it hard to pronounce. I'm not joking. A friend of mine named Thorlekur once asked me, "Why is your name so hard to pronounce?" And when I said, "Thorlekur, your name is hard for me to pronounce too," he was like naturally surprised. Seriously, what is wrong with Thorlekur? Also, have you ever thought how much a language can tell you about the people? Icelanders have over 100 words for wind. Yes, wind. They not just say it's windy, they describe its texture, its direction, whether it's coming from mountains or the ocean. And they also have a sculpture in Iceland devoted to the wind, where 112 words, meaning wind, are leading you to the sculpture. 112 is also the emergency number in Iceland. And we instantly learned that most of the emergencies in this country are happening because of weather. This fact alone tells us a lot about these people's fears, feeling, culture, and any language has this magical trace that can open up the culture for you way better than any history book can. But the biggest takeaway from my Icelandic experience was the following. In a country so far away where no one knew Armenia, but the students recognized me because of my language, I realized that I took my language for granted all my life. We look at our language as a mandatory subject we study at school, without enthusiasm or guidance to understand its cultural significance. I myself learned that there's a difference between classical Armenian and Western Armenian only in high school. We look at our language as something ornamental or optional, and it's no longer the first tool we reach for when we dream, think, or even argue. Yet everything in our history tells it should be. When Mesrop Mashtots was creating Armenian alphabet in 5th century, it was not just a cute cultural side project. We adopted Christianity a century before, and back then kings couldn't just go live on Facebook and say, "Hey folks, from now on we believe in only one God." So what did we need? An alphabet on which priests would transfer the knowledge from generation to generation and explain the do's and don'ts of Christianity. And as Bible itself says, first there was the Word. So Armenian intellectuals led by Mashtots went on with the translators movement, translating Bible, the greatest thinkers of the time, and writing these sentences in Armenian, like Iskas baner bana. And this word, the Armenian word, became the strongest pillar of resilience in this geographically cursed territory between empires. That's why during the genocide, families were carrying manuscripts across the deserts. Not the elite, not just priests, ordinary families who sometimes couldn't even read were risking their lives to save them. And they were not saving them as books, they were saving them as homeland. Did our geography change? Did the threats that we are facing now change? No, right? So why do we think we don't need this pillar of resilience anymore? Today, companies in Armenia, Armenian companies, are struggling to find employees who can write a grammatically correct email in Armenian. Universities try to include Armenian as a mandatory subject, yet students protest. And I understand them because the way Armenian is taught often lacks joy, curiosity, relevance. But the solution isn't to abandon the language, it's to change how we approach it. I remember exactly how I was carefully trying to make my English fluent, and how happy I was to receive my TOEFL score. I admire my friends who know French and are able to read poems in what we call the language of love. But I realized I never put enough effort into making my Armenian fluent, or maybe study Western Armenian a bit. I never complimented someone saying, "You speak Armenian so beautifully and purely." Why? Because it's there, it's taken for granted, and it's not treated like the cultural treasure it is. And as much as it is still there, it's no less in danger. Western Armenian is already considered as a dying language. And we don't have to kill our language to realize it was alive, right? And if we do not put enough effort into cherishing it, developing it, writing in it, dreaming in it, we'll lose it. But not at once. We'll lose it like you lose a dream. Slowly, word by word, meaning by meaning, until it's just a background noise. But if we do reclaim it, we're not just preserving the past, we're unlocking the future, where you can find a very personal pride in your language being recognized on the other side of the world as the carrier of one of the most ancient and beautiful languages in the world. And it's not just ours to keep, it's a value that we bring to the world. So here's a trick one of my diaspora Armenian friends has taught me. Next time you're about to say or text something in Armenian and you catch a foreign phrase in your head, autocorrect yourself. Try to find the Armenian alternative instead, and you will be amazed how many beautiful words are still waiting for us in our language. And as ironic as it is that I'm telling you all this in English, let me at least end with thanking you all in Armenian. Շնորհակալություն.